work and rework your hair with the UK's #1 styling product, VO5 Extreme Style Rework. Break the mold.
I first heard about Professor Layton and the Curious Village back in February from one of the DS fanboy guys covering its American release, and I've been itching to review it since then. It was finally released in Europe earlier this month, and even after that massive wait, it doesn't disappoint. Professor Layton has hit on a winning formula for DS gaming, blending the popular brain-teaser puzzling genre with a cracking and well-presented adventure. You follow the exploits of Professor Layton, a famous archaeologist and puzzle-solving detective, and his young apprentice Luke as they explore St. Mystea on a quest to unravel the conundrum of the Baron Augustus Reinhold's will. But the inhabitants of the city are all puzzle fanatics, and as you travel to different locations and talk to different people in order to solve the wider goal, they'll throw little challenges at the duo, or the Professor and Luke themselves will challenge each other with puzzles they're reminded of by the circumstances. Yes, it sounds a little contrived, but the execution is so flawless that I have to say this is the best integration of minigames into a wider narrative that I have ever seen. There's also a slightly tongue-in-cheek sense of humour about it all, which will do things like tease you for doing puzzles while you're supposed to be investigating a death. And any game that can laugh at itself wins brownie points in my book. The puzzles themselves test a range of different logical skills and are also genuinely challenging, taken from the oeuvre of Professor Akira Tago, the famous puzzle master who wrote the Head Gymnastics series. Some of them you'll spot in seconds, while others will have you scratching your head for a good long while, but in all cases it is a question of applying logic rather than trying to guess at an arbitrary decision of the game designer or just fulfilling some mindless stylus task. Thankfully, there are no time limits to puzzles, and you can have unlimited tries, although the points you earn for solving said puzzle go down for each wrong answer. To overcome the problem of people getting completely stuck, the vast majority of puzzles aren't necessary for forward progression in the game, and you can abandon them and come back to them later. There's also a generous hint system where you can buy 3 progressively more revealing hints for each puzzle, with hint coins that are hidden around the game world as rewards for full exploring. There are other things hidden about the world too. You'll find gizmos and painting scraps to fit together and items of furniture to arrange in Luke and the Professor's rooms, following their comments to work out what will make them happy. This adds extra value and also helps with that sense of greater coherence to the string of puzzles. As well as awesome gameplay, the presentation is absolutely top-notch. While the graphics might not push the DS to its technical limits, it still looks incredible, and the 2D artwork is gorgeous and stylish, reminding me of Belleville Rendezvous, with a cool soundtrack to match. There are several animated cutscenes which are also fully voiced, and the voice acting and the brilliant script writing help bring a fantastic range of characters to life, from the slightly plummy yet practical protagonists through the various inhabitants of St. Mystea. The game also implements the DS really well, with good but never arbitrary use of the stylus and some very impressive handwriting recognition software used in some of the puzzles. The fact that it's a game of mini-games makes it good for playing on the move or in a spare 10 minutes, although it's also engaging and addictive enough that you can easily sit down to it for a few hours too. Probably the only downside to this game is that with the nature of brain teasers, it doesn't have huge potential for replayability. But that said, with 135 puzzles and around 15 hours of gameplay, it's still very good value, and there are also weekly puzzle downloads available via Wi-Fi. All in all, this is a brilliant game with charming character that manages to encourage your critical thinking faculties without patronising you, and which always entertains. I really can't recommend this highly enough. 5 stars.